Well, good afternoon and welcome back to San Angelo Live. It's Wednesday and this is the political desk, so I must be talking to a candidate for political office. Joining me today is Tommy Usery. I'm still working on the pronunciation, Usery. I'll eventually get it right. Tommy is a candidate for Tom Green County Judge, and there are 4 people running for that office. Tommy is the third one we've spoken to, and welcome. Thank you for taking time to be here, Tommy.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Yantis. Glad to be here with you this afternoon, and glad to speak to the voters.
That's great. Thanks for coming. Sometimes Wednesday's not the best day, but we're starting to fit it in with everybody's schedule. You spent a lot of time in San Angelo, and you've got a background in law enforcement. So let's talk about who you are, background, education, experience, that sort of thing.
All right, thank you. Yes, I'm Tommy Usery, go by Tom or TJ. I grew up in San Angelo, first through 12th grade in the San Angelo Independent School District, graduated some years ago. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from Angelo State University. Was on the San Angelo Police Department for a period of time, and later with the Texas Department of Public Safety as a highway patrol trooper.
Okay.
My tenure with the police department included patrol officer, detective, and motors. I'm married to my wife, Patricia. We have 2 adult children, and we have 2 grandsons as well. Right. I'm very proud of those grandbabies, of course.
I bet.
So in addition to my nearly 20 years in law enforcement, I have a Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from South Texas College of Law. I've been practicing law for the past 26 years. My family grew up in San Angelo. My mom had a place up on 41st Street until she passed at the age of 83. Okay. So in and out of San Angelo for various reasons and assignments out of the town, but been back for a few years now, about 3 or 4 years, practicing law here in San Angelo.
Oh, okay, great. And we need to talk about, you were in the motors unit. I know a little bit about motorcycles, so we can have that discussion later on. The county judge, a couple of things are in play here. The current county judge has been there for at least 12 years, approaching 12 years, and he's stepping down. So yes. We don't have a commissioner in this race now, someone who's worked their way up through the ranks trying to in preparation for this office. So it's wide open.
Yes, and I think that's important, particularly in this election cycle, to have the most experienced person you can have be your next county judge. Stephen Floyd I've known since we were in junior high together. Went through high school with Stephen Floyd. I've known him for many, many years, since we were teenagers, actually. I think Steve's done a remarkable job. And we want someone who can step in with the least amount of lead time and preparation and get ahead of the curve as much as possible. And I think that my credentials lead to being better prepared, more quickly prepared than any of the other candidates who are in the race against us.
Okay. And the county judge wears several different hats, and part of the job is judicial, and part of it is administrative, and a lot of it is herding cats with the 26 other elected officials in the county. So how do you approach those different roles?
Yes, it's probably the most important position in Tom Green County. The county judge serves as the leader of the county, of all the departments, even though they're elected officials in many of those departments and their other department heads. He's coordinator first and foremost amongst the various departments within the county. It is primarily an administrative position. I do practice government and administrative law. Been practicing that for over 26 years. I mentioned to Manny a little earlier that that alone, I have more than 200 administrative law jurisdiction cases heard to verdict. Okay. I have more than 150 administrative law jurisdiction appellate cases that I've personally been involved in and resulted in the appropriate thing to have happen through those processes. Okay. In addition, I've participated in the administrative proceedings here in Tom Green County. with the JP's offices and also with Judge Floyd. And so I've participated directly in some of those. In addition to the administrative role that the judge participates in, is a head budget officer of the county. It's important to be able to operate the budget in such a way that we can increase the budgets. It tends to rise every year a little bit, and we plan for that. And so work with the various department heads and the elected officials to meet their needs, and at the same time within the constraints of the budget. You mentioned the judicial role. That's an extremely important role. I am the only of the candidates who are running for this position who has any legal training at all, and who has actually tried cases and participated in that process as an attorney, and also participated in that process as a law enforcement officer.
Okay. The county is changing and growing, and the court's personality will change, particularly with a change at county judge, maybe a change at Commissioner Precinct 4. So we'll have a whole new Commissioner's Court. What are the issues, as you see them, the most important issues facing the county going into this election?
Well, there are several, and the ones that I see as being some of the major ones, and you mentioned the county is growing, and several things come from that. The census in 2010 was 110,000 people, just a little over that.
Okay.
And our most recent census in 2020 was 122,000 people. So on average, that's about 1,000 people a month. Per year, that as our growth rate. We need to be able to plan for that. And of course, you have to work with industry as well for housing and those sorts of things. But that also affects the tax base, if you will. It affects the tax revenue. And so every person that comes to town is going to be buying things, and they're going to be paying sales tax on those. And so we're increasing our tax base, our tax revenue base, with new people. We want to continue to operate in such a way that we're attracting not only residents here, but places for them to work. We need good jobs here. We need to work particularly in the area of economic development. There's been a recent event, if you will, over the last couple of years that's going to impact quite a bit our economic development. That is the transportation hub that's being built east of town. Kudos to the Commissioner's Court and to the judge for getting that project started. We need to continue that kind of effort in attracting additional business, which impacts our tax base revenue. And so those things also bring with them, growth also brings with them problems. We already have a burgeoning mental health crisis here. Both of our private partners, if you will, mental health facilities are operating at capacity or above. And that process is quite involved with the county judge's position in mental health hearings. Already participated. I know what the standards are for a requirement. I know what the evidence requirements are. I would not have to get up to speed on any of those things. We need to work with our partners to help them do their jobs, and so that the county and the private organizations involved in this process are consistent and timely. The mental health crisis, in my view, is connected also with homelessness, with drug use, substance abuses. And so those are additional burgeoning problems that I see as a challenge for the county coming. We want to grow in such a way that's smart, and at the same time that we're able to cover what other challenges arise from the additional folks that are in town. In addition to those, one of the other challenges I see facing the county is the issue out at the detention center.
Okay.
Basically, the sheriff is operating a little bit hamstrung, if you will, because he has to abide, and rightfully so, he has to abide by the Jail Standards Commission.
Right.
And we have to work with the sheriff's office and the folks that run the detention center on his behalf to get those things that they need to be able to get our jail fully functional and operational. And so that we're working there in an efficient manner. I look forward to working with the sheriff and his staff in obtaining those goals, and with the Commissioner's Court. There are many other issues facing us, and we will be rolling out some of our recommendations as we go through some of these forums over the next couple of weeks as we present our ideas to the voters.
Okay. I did want to touch on the criminal justice thing, the dovetailing in with the jail. The criminal docket in Tom Green County, the criminal dockets across the state have just taken a beating because of the COVID pandemic and actually shutting down, essentially shutting down the criminal dockets. But those have opened back up. The Supreme Court has said you can operate within these parameters, particularly jury trials. And I know our folks, the district attorney's office and the district clerk's office and the district judges are, all the judges, the court at law judges and the JPs are working hard to get that docket moving again.
Yes. We've had essentially our criminal justice, really our justice system, not just criminal justice, but that's certainly the most important one in terms of civil rights. Constitutional rights, but the entire justice system has essentially been closed down for over 2 years now, and that's not the result of any of our judges here. That's not what happened. But our courthouses have been closed, and they were closed by the Texas Supreme Court. I am a member of the State Bar of Texas as an attorney, and I am ordered to do things as well by the Supreme Court. Where I don't have any say-so in it either. Yep. So I can sympathize certainly with the judges over there. They want to get their dockets moving, and we're going to try to help them get those dockets moving forward so that we can help them get caught up. One recent development is the addition of a magistrate. Yep. That will help considerably with the day-to-day things where attorneys are having disputes with one another and they're trying to get their cases progressed forward and they're hung up on one thing or another. The magistrate will be invaluable in terms of getting those issues resolved so the case can be pushed forward to trial. It's frustrating as someone who participates on a daily basis in the justice system there to essentially have our courts closed to us and to our clients and to the citizens of Tom Green County. And we want to do everything that we can to push back against any other closures. I know we only have so much room in the courtroom to try a case and still abide by the mandate in terms of distancing and such, but we will do everything within our power to work within the parameters of Supreme Court orders to get the courthouse back open.
And the other addition locally is the Public Defender's Office.
Yes. And
that's going to fundamentally change the way that criminal court docket works.
Yes, I think it will probably go a little smoother. Simply because basically there's one office who is participating on the defense side rather than various attorneys who are appointed to represent individuals. And I've been one of those attorneys who from time to time gets appointed to things. And an attorney will operate differently. Every attorney operates somewhat differently. Some are very aggressive in pushing forward and others just want to wait. And so there will be some consistency, at least in terms of the time period, or what I'll call shelf life of a case, and probably we'll start getting some of those cases moved more quickly. That will also help alleviate, as you suggested earlier, some of the issues that we're having at the jail, and help the sheriff out with him controlling the population of the jail on a daily basis.
That's right. We can get some of those criminals who are defendants who are in need of a speedy trial, get those out of the jail and moved on.
Right.
Well, wherever they need to be.
Certainly the citizens of Tom Green County deserve to have justice, and so does the individual criminal who's charged with a crime. If he's guilty, let's find that. If he's not guilty, let's find that. And if and whatever the verdict might be, then let's administer the justice that's required. But sitting around waiting is not justice for anyone.
That's not good for anybody. That's right. Well, Tommy, thank you. This has been enlightening to hear a different perspective on particularly the justice system. And this is where I get to sit back from the microphone and stop asking questions that you may have heard a dozen times and give you the opportunity. Our audience is somewhere 62,000 people. This may be the largest audience you ever get to talk to on the campaign trail.
Yes.
So I'm going to step back, and this is between you and the voters. What is your message? What do you want them to hear from Tommy Usery?
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and it's good to speak to you this afternoon. As stated, I'm Tommy Usery. I'm one of the candidates for Tom Green County Judge. We mentioned during the interview today that a new county judge, someone with no experience setting at the county judge position, is going to need to be up to speed as quickly as is possible to help the Commissioner's Court move forward with the county business. I believe that I am that candidate. I have a perspective of law enforcement of nearly 20 years. That same perspective in law enforcement gives me a perspective into the criminal justice system as well. I participated those 20 years in criminal trials as either a witness or an arresting officer. My experience as an attorney has been widespread, handling complex cases, multi-million-dollar cases. I've worked in the administrative and government law sphere for many years, including filing lawsuits on behalf of the federal government to recover Medicare and Medicaid fraud. Some of them are fraud committed by organized criminal rings, including doctors and lawyers and clinic owners and hospitals, and have been successful in doing those kinds of cases on behalf of the federal government. I will be the candidate who walks in with the only experience in the criminal justice or in the civil justice system, the only one who has any mental health experience in terms of hearing mental health cases. The other judicial function for the county judge is in the matter of probate. I also do wills, probate, and estate planning as well. I'm the only candidate of the four who are running who has the experience on day one to walk in and begin doing business. In that manner, I'm the choice in terms of the experience necessary to run the county government from day one, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay, Tommy. How do voters get in touch with you? How do they find out more about you?
Well, they can go to if you have Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can go to Tommy J. Usery for County Judge. I'm there. My phone number is listed many places across the web, including my personal Facebook page. You can come there as well. You can call me at my office at 325-340-0075. If you lose any of those numbers or emails or any of those things, just go to the State Bar of Texas and just put my name in, and it will come up, and it will give a biography of me. It will give all of my contact information on the State Bar of Texas website.
Okay, great. Now, just housekeeping things. There's your first public candidate forum with everybody is tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Central Library downtown in the Suggs Room, I believe is on the third floor.
That's correct.
So the first forum is tomorrow afternoon.
All right, 6 o'clock. And dates and times, we've got early voting starting mid-February, about February 14th or so.
Correct.
The actual election day, early voting goes 2 weeks. Election day is March 1st.
Correct. Right.
And this is one of those races where there are multiple candidates. There's a possibility of a runoff. And the Republican runoff in Texas is set for May 24th. So because there's not a Democrat opponent and there's not an independent opponent, if you get 50% plus one vote on March 1st, then you're the guy.
That's right.
And if there's a runoff, it would be the 24th of May. And that makes you a candidate on the general ballot, yes, which is November 1st of this year.
Yes.
And since there's no opponent on the other side, whoever wins this will be sworn in as new county judge on January 1st of 2023.
That's correct.
So that's where we are, a couple of weeks before early voting starts. We wish everyone well, and for San Angelo Live, I'm Yantis Green.